What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and I have some interesting stuff that we're going to talk about in this video. We're really going to try to solve some issues with the Detroit Lions. So yeah, let's get right into the video. Everybody understands the Lions tackles played a bad first game. And I think what it is, in sports, like if you guys played sports before, some of you guys probably do, some maybe not. But if you play sports, say you're playing basketball, for instance, you miss your first 3 shots, then what? You're not always confident going out to shoot that 4th shot, right? And I think that's something that happened with our tackles, Taylor Decker and Rick Wagner. Weren't necessarily confident after the game started like it did, right? Because they started off pretty bad. They made some bad plays early. And I think, the big one for Taylor Decker was when we came in with an interception, and then the very next play on offense, Stafford got strip sacked. I mean, how in the world can you keep confidence after that? Now, you can say, well, he's an athlete. He's an NFL player. He should have confidence. He's getting paid money. But I think everybody's a human, right? We all understand. He's not an old player. Rick Wagner's more of a veteran. He's not an old player. Neither of these guys are super old, right? They're still humans, right? So they're going to make mistakes, and their confidence can change, right? And at this point, let's assume the Lions are not going to go get another tackle, because it doesn't seem like any signs are pointing to that, right? It doesn't seem like there's any signs pointing to the Lions going to get tackle. Plus, we have literally no control over that. So we might as well talk about what we have in the house and try to fix it, right? What do the Lions have now, and how can they fix the problem, okay? Let me run through a quick few numbers so you guys can really get a feel of what I'm talking about. So basically, both of our tackles struggled. Rick Wagner gave up 7 pressures and a sack, which is terrible. And Taylor Decker on the other side gave up 7 pressures, 2 sacks, and 2 fumbles, one of which the Cardinals recovered. Yeah, so the offensive tackles were terrible, okay? To put that in perspective, Stafford was the second most pressured quarterback of the weekend. 47% of the time he was pressured, just behind Deshaun Watson. And Matthew Stafford's not known for being a mobile quarterback, so this is a problem. You can't do that. Also, I'll talk a little bit about Matthew Stafford's stats. Matthew Stafford, 385 yards, 3 touchdowns. Outstanding, right? He's all good. But when you look at him being pressured versus him having time in the pocket, there's a huge difference. When he was not pressured, he was great. 19 for 26, 263 yards, and a 143.6 passer rating. That will beat pretty much all teams in the NFL. But when he was pressured, he was only 8 for 19 for a 63.9 passer rating. Big difference. So where's the problem here? The tackles. Why? Well, because our new guy, Joe Dahl, didn't have anything on the stat sheet. Now, you could blame that on the fact they had Chandler Jones and Terrell Suggs, but the Lions are going to be going against the Chargers next. And the Chargers have Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa, so it's not going to be an easy task. Not like they're getting out of anything. So what do the Lions need to do? They need to figure out that tackle situation. Now, how do you fix that? I'm not a part of the Lions, so I don't know what the game plan is. I know Darrell Bevell talked about it a little bit. The Lions really didn't make a big deal out of it, but at this point, it should be kind of a big deal. But we know that these players are better than what they represented. We know that Rick Wagner is a veteran. He's way better than that. We know that Taylor Decker is better than that from last season. But how do we fix that? How do we get their confidence back? Because like I said, once you lose confidence, it doesn't matter how good you were in the past, doesn't matter how much you're being paid, doesn't matter how old you are, you're not going to play well. So for both of these guys, we have to get their confidence back. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind, they're both tackles, and that's big. Guard can make it tough. Being tackles can help out. Now, I don't think the Lions will take any of these into consideration. I hope they do, but here's my thoughts. One was coming from T, and it makes a lot of sense. I've looked it up. I've done some research on this to try to figure out what is the best way to slow down edge rushers, because that's what it comes down to. We have 2 edge rushers, in this case, Terrell Suggs and Chandler Jones, and both of these guys were just completely every single play coming at Matthew Stafford, and really every single play, Taylor Decker and Rick Wagner had to worry about them coming in because there was no other worry there. There was no pressure. The only pressure that we were able to take off was running the ball, right? That's the only thing we really did to take the pressure off of them. And when we ran the ball, we struggled. So there was no pressure really taken off every single time. They were just running as fast as they could against Matthew Stafford. And that's why they struggled. They lost confidence, and that's why big plays were happening for the defensive ends. So what do the Lions do to fix that offensively? What is the game plan going in to the Chargers? Well, there's the first thing that we have to do. And it's similar to what we did last week, right? We kind of went to this, had a second. But this will help him out. Maybe just give him a little more confidence to understand, hey, I'm more confident here. Because what they can do is, like last week, they've used multiple tight end sets a lot. This week they used multiple tight end sets a lot. I believe it was somewhere around 27 out of the 80 snaps they had offensively, they had multiple tight ends on the field. So what that means is that the Lions can utilize those tight ends to help block, okay? And they did it a little bit last game to help out Taylor Decker near the end. They need to do that if they struggle early. Taylor Decker and Rick Wagner, you could put both tight ends and help both of those guys out. You put one on the right, one on the left, and have both of them block, have 2 wide receivers, and boom. That's your offense. Single back, you can go out the pistol, give them a little bit more time, and there you go. I think pistol with tight end on each end and 2 wide receivers would be a good situation, right? Because that's 5 offensive linemen plus 2 tight ends, that's 7. You got a running back, that's 8. You got a quarterback, that's 9. You got 2 wide receivers, that's 11. So you're perfect there. That's one thing that you can do. Now, that I think will help, right? Because, you obviously have 2-on-1, you should be fine there. But that gives us a lot less options. So what's the other thing that we can do? Well, we have to get those defensive end thinking that other things are going to be coming, right? Now, what other things can we mix in there? First, running back flat routes. We need the running backs to do some flat routes, okay? Just kind of leak out, just hop out, maybe get a check and then just flip out to the side, but do it in the flats. Don't necessarily go upfield. I mean, you can if you want to, but do it around where the defensive ends are going to be standing, where they're going to be blitzing from, because these aren't linebackers. Keep that in mind. These are defensive ends. But if you throw it to that spot where he is coming from, then he has to think, right? Oh, they're throwing it right to me. If I keep blitzing and he's throwing it like as soon as he snaps it, he's got to think that's not a long route, right? You snap it, boom, he's there. So for the defensive end, they're like, okay, I'm not going to get there, and he's throwing it over to me, so maybe I should plan for that, right? And then that gets it maybe to slow down, not every single play. Okay, I'm running in there because I know what's coming. Also, you can implement the screen, and the screen is a big deal. It's something that we really didn't do, especially running back screens. Now, these can struggle, they can be hard to convert, and you may think this may not work because of linebackers, but again, it will make the defensive ends think that something else is coming, right? Because think about it. The tackle's job is to hold out the defensive end or the rusher, whatever it may be. But if you're on a screen, he's not trying to block him at all. He may check him to move. He's trying to get to a spot to set up for the running back to go through. And that allows the defensive ends to just immediately come to Stafford. And honestly, if you're struggling, what's the difference? If they're going to immediately get there anyways, who cares, right? So if they're coming there and they move out of the way and you're like, oh man, free rusher, they just run straight towards Stafford, that sets up the screen perfectly. Now you have it, you got two lead blockers, and boom, off to the races. We have all of our running backs can catch the ball and they all can run. Even CJ Anderson, yes, CJ can do this. Ty Johnson definitely can do it. Carrion definitely can do it. And that's something we can implement on both sides, both the right end and the left end. Now, say left tackle struggling, right? Taylor Decker is struggling, and you're running a screen to the right side. It would still work because Taylor Decker doesn't have to hold up as long because that's not a long route. Now, he has to hold up maybe a couple pushes, and then boom, Stafford's going to get out of his hands. It's a short route right out to the flat, and you're off to the races. So those are two ideas that I've come up with to really help those guys get confidence back. Helping him out, setting the running back over there to help block, okay? Give him an extra second. Do something different, but give him a little bit of help. Now, obviously, if you can establish the run at the middle, then boom, you're good, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to if you can run the ball really well. But as we know, they're struggling to help out that pressure. So I think those are two solutions that maybe the Lions can look into versus the Chargers. Now, I want to hear your thoughts, comments below on what solutions that we could have. We all want solutions around here, okay? I don't want to hear you blast what's wrong with it. I understand what's wrong with it. We're struggling. They struggled last game, but we know they're better than this. And you're going to say they're not better than this? You're crazy because they are. 14 pressures for two players, they're better than that. Maybe not the best tackles in the league, but they're better than that. And the best way, you have to get their confidence back. So how do we get it back? Those are two suggestions I have. Let me hear yours in the comments below. Thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out.